Looks like we got a couple of firsts here today. Well, the first anniversary of 15 days to flatten the spread. I guess last week when Biden held not a press conference, but he had a speech to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the onset of the pandemic. I guess 15 days to flatten the curve, stop the spread, beginning of nonsense, whatever it was. That takes place today. And thank God. And you know what? We have another beautiful, wonderful thing to celebrate. And that is Joe Biden's first solo press conference is finally going to take place March 25th. Get all of your questions ready, folks, because you know goddamn well they are going to be screened like a motherfucker. And so the old man will have his stock answers ready for you, and then he'll be shuffled right off stage as soon as he takes 5, 6, maybe questions and have some kind of scripted answer as to what he's been doing all this time. Oh, I've been working real hard for the American people and making sure everybody wears this mask because you need to wear it so that we can be independent for Independence Day in small groups. That one still sticks in my craw because it is so fucking dumb. The White House announced Tuesday. I can't believe we're at a point where the press secretary has to announce when the president is going to be making an appearance. Is it like Groundhog's Day, where if Joe Biden comes out and sees his shadow, Kamala Harris is going to have to wait another 6 months in order to become president? Is that where we're at right now? But they announced that he would finally hold a solo press conference on March 25th. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki muttered the news during Biden's trip to Pennsylvania, which is hilarious in and of itself, to promote his massive $1.9 trillion coronavirus spending package. If everybody loved it so much, why do you have to run PR after the fact for it? It's almost like you're trying to hide some stuff in there, but you're just going to tell them, oh no, $1,400 checks are great and no follow-ups. This sets a new presidential record. Congratulations, Biden. You are one for the books. Longer than any previous president for about 100 years when Warren Harding was president in 21. And, oh God, that's a sad comparison to pull because if you guys know your 1920s presidential history, you'll realize that Warren Harding kind of suddenly died in 1923. But that's not where the comparisons end. And I mean, hopefully that's not a comparison that we can factually draw in 2023, exactly 100 years later, which is creepy in and of itself. I hate this already. But Warren Harding at the time was very well liked by the press and very well liked by the public. And as you know, Joe Biden has the record, another record that he has set. He is the most popular president of all time. I mean, 81 million votes. Come on now. How else could you quantify his success? Don't look at his live stream numbers. Don't look at any of his televised not press conferences, any of his televised speeches for just proof positive that the 81 million people that came out to support Joe Biden are definitely Bidenites to the end. That hurt a lot. Biden's 15 most recent predecessors, just 15, don't worry about it, held a solo press conference within 33 days of taking office. Well, okay, so he's got, 8 days left? Because he's already retired for the night. Yeah, his day's over. I'm sure it probably didn't even get started because he's got a lot of planning to do. Is he going to approach it like he did with the presidential debates where he just goes silent for 2 weeks to make the 90-minute long appearance and then just get shuffled back into the basement? Well, we can tell you one thing that he's not doing. He's not going to be visiting the border, okay? He's going to Pennsylvania, and we'll circle back to steal a Psaki line as to what he might be trying to swindle and grift the good people out of Pennsylvania of their common sense. But yeah, no, he's not going down to the border, even though there are more kids in more cages than there was ever under Trump's administration. People are flooding across the border without getting proper COVID screening. I don't know what else. It's a horrorscape. President Joe Biden said on Tuesday that he does not plan for now to visit the southern border of the United States amid a surge of illegal immigrants. Do you know how many of those states voted for him that are right along the U.S.-Mexico border? Not enough to count for Joe. Biden was scheduled to fly from Joint Base Andrews in Maryland to Philadelphia en route to Delaware County. He just keeps everything. Right now, I haven't seen a single report where he's gone any further than Pennsylvania at this point. He's gone from Pennsylvania to Washington and then from Washington to Delaware, and that's about it. He hasn't done anything else. Everybody kind of figured he'd be the basement president, but for it to be this bad this early in his presidency really sets a standard and sets a record for himself, I suppose. He's really wanting to make a bunch of firsts in his presidency. So yeah, during a tour to tout the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package that he recently signed following the passage from Democrats in Congress, yep, not a single Republican hopped over the aisle, and yeah, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Biden planned to spend the night at his home in Wilmington, Delaware, because, what is it, just too far to fly to fucking Washington? Like, can't wait till the weekend to get home? I get it. Biden has said a little about the surge of illegal immigrants at the southern border because he's secretly and I guess not so secretly kind of cheering it on. So why would he say anything bad about it? Which is expected to rise even higher in the coming months. Yes, it's going to get warmer. It's going to make the caravans even larger and longer. And that just means more votes for dear sweet Biden or whoever his successor is going to be. The president rolled back key Trump-era orders and rules enabling more illegal immigrants to enter the country as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. And that's not the only thing that he rolled back, at least at current date. That's the only stuff that he has, but he's also planning on doing something else. Because he plans a first major tax hike in a generation by rolling back the Trump tax cuts. You thought that one was on the back burner. Well, they're starting to soldier through all the cabinet appointments. Just a couple of the outliers are still left. And, yep, here comes that tax hike. Remember, you're getting less free money from the government, those stimulus checks. Hopefully that $1,400 makes up for the fact that you're going to be paying it tenfold in taxes if you dumb motherfuckers even go back to work. President Joe Biden is considering a tax hike to underwrite the economic program launched by the approval of his $1.9 trillion pandemic stimulus package. A Monday report by Bloomberg claims the tax jump will be the first major lift in federal taxes in almost 30 years if successful. But Biden shouldn't get his hopes up, and you guys shouldn't be taking any doom pills here for a minute. So just stick around on this one. Bloomberg quotes unidentified sources to outline the increase will back Biden's promise made during his 2020 campaign. Yes, he said several times that I'm going to repeal the Trump tax cuts because nobody over whatever $400,000 a year is going to pay any more in taxes. That's just flat out not the case. When we went through originally his proposed tax plan that's going to create so many new great jobs, everybody was getting a tax increase. There was no way around it. Every single tax bracket, even nominal at the lower brackets, but they were still going up. And if you don't understand how economics work at this point, let me just break it down real simple from you. In fact, I will ask you a question. Have you ever got a job from a poor person? Let that sink in. Taxing the people who are creating the jobs, who are making the wealth, who are generating the tax revenue makes no goddamn sense. All it's going to do is resurrect the exact same policies and the exact same follow through that happened during the Obama administration that led to all of those companies leaving to go abroad that Trump brought back by lowering the corporate tax rate. There is a magical tax zone, okay? It's from about the high teens to about the mid 20s. Okay, and Biden wants to put it to 28%. That would jettison off so many automakers. That would jettison off so many other manufacturing jobs. Then he would put everybody on the government tit. I guess he's just taking pointers from Justin Trudeau. Tax hikes is included as part of the infrastructure and jobs package will likely include repealing part of former President Trump's 2017 tax law that benefited corporations and wealthy individuals, the news outlet noted, citing sources close to the matter. As Breitbart News reported, Biden twice flagged his desire to raise taxes on everyone, including the middle class, during last year's presidential debates. We need not tread ground that I just explained to you as well, but the article's linked below if you'd like to read through the whole thing. But here's the little white pill at the end of this. Any tax increase that are passed would likely take effect beginning in 2022, according to Bloomberg, which noted some lawmakers have called for the administration to hold off as a pandemic-related unemployment remains high. Democrats would need at least 10 Republicans to back the bill, and as many of those Republicans who voted to impeach, remember, there were 7 of them that crossed the aisle this last time. If they were to vote for this, there would be recalls happening left, right, and center. So don't anticipate 10 Republicans to hop across the aisle for this. To back the bill to move it under regular Senate rules. But GOP members are ready for a fight, having been warned during the 2020 campaign, Joe Biden in the White House meant the tax man cometh. So yeah, it's not likely to get passed. Needing 10 additional Republicans to cross over, it's just not likely. It's just not in the cards. So don't get too down on it. Unless they just kind of figure out something in order to try to pass it through via some long unknown policy, but that would literally take some top tier mental gymnastics. So yeah, perhaps Biden will get questioned about that during his press conference. Who knows what it's going to hold, but boy, is it going to be a bellwether test. Like I said, I think all of the questions are going to get screened. He's going to have the stock answers. It's just going to run smoothly. He'll probably trip over a couple of words because it is a day that ends in Y, and it is the old man who's up there. Outside of that, yeah, don't anticipate a whole hell of a lot. It'll probably go, 45 minutes or an hour? Maybe. Like his speech to commemorate the onset of the pandemic. Remember, it went 23 minutes, and that one was scripted out as a motherfucker, and he fucked up the first goddamn word. But do you think anybody's going to have the balls to ask him about the Tara Reade allegations? A lot of people don't know about this, so it's old as well. Like, not quite as old as his hair plugs, but the allegations are there from this time when he was in the Senate, only in like his second or third term, but when he was still in the Senate. And it does a wonderful job comparing and contrasting when you're on the side of the Democratic establishment, when you are useful to them, and when you're on the outs, when you're one of the political enemies or somebody that one of the up-and-comers sees as a potential adversary in the future. Nicest way I can put it. Governor Andrew Cuomo has been accused of unwanted touching and sexual harassment. Yeah, that's about it. And we're going to be getting a little bit more graphic than just unwanted touching and sexual harassment. What Cuomo's done looks like child's play compared to what Biden's been accused of. And there's actually a paper trail on this one. Except if you try to look for the records, they're hid away and Biden won't release them. President Biden has been accused of everything from creepily sniffing women's hair. You don't have to be accused of that. There's plenty of video reels on every video hosting platform around the world. So all you need to do is just, type in Biden sniffing and they come up and they're like 5-10 minutes long. To sexual assault. Yeah, Biden is one who gets the folksy treatment perceived as merely touchy-feely, while Cuomo, despite his status as prince of the pandemic press conference, could be facing the end of his career. I'm still going to maintain that he is going to survive this by hook or by crook. Maybe he doesn't get reelected in 2022. But a lot can happen between now and then. He says that he's not going to be stepping down, so that's the only way that I could see him actually being effectively canceled. Prominent Democrats have called for the governor's resignation over the scandal. Falls on deaf ears. 7 women now say they have experienced unwanted touching. Yeah, lower back, okay? Just coming in, greeting somebody, bringing them in close, okay? That's what a handsy Italian does. These people never been outside. They've never interacted outside of their little self-imposed ethno-state. For being so progressive, they sure don't know a lot about cultures and norms from anyone outside of their little hug box. Cuomo claims he never did it. I don't know about that. It's just the intention that he's claiming is different. And apologized for making anyone feel bad, which is stupid. Never apologize. By his own admission, Cuomo may be a little handsy. He said that you can go find hundreds of pictures of me kissing people. It is my usual and customary way of greeting. Yeah, that's why I don't hit him on this stuff, because it's been an accepted way of greeting for the past, I don't know how fucking long. Just cut it off at about, 2015, 2016? Is that where we're drawing the line? Is that when all of this stuff just went out of control? But prior to that, short of a tit squeeze, you could pretty much get away with anything. It's not even getting away with anything. It's more or less just, if something was creepy, people had the wherewithal to stand up for themselves. But as the old saying goes, good time creates soft people. Contrast this with Biden in 2019, who said, "I'm not sorry for any of my intentions. I'm not sorry for anything that I have ever done. I have never been disrespectful intentionally, or a man or a woman." My God, even in 2019, he couldn't form a coherent sentence. So that's not the reputation I've had since I was in high school, for God's sake. Oh, really? Cuomo apologized and he's going down. Biden refuses to apologize and he's practically sanctified. Even though he was called out by his running mate on the debate stage during the primaries. Social norms are changing, I understand that, Biden says. And I've heard what these women are saying. Politics, to me, has always been about making connections. But I will be more mindful about respecting personal space in the future. That's my responsibility, and I will meet it. He does so now by just hiding in Lincoln's bedroom and only going into the Oval Office once every couple of days for a few hours at best. And now we got to go across the pond to BBC to actually get the story because New York Post couldn't be bothered to print it, I suppose. Tara Reade, who worked for former U.S. Vice President nearly 30 years ago, says he sexually assaulted her in the halls of Congress. Mr. Biden has been accused of being touchy-feely with multiple women, but this is the first public accusation of serious sexual misconduct against him. The White House hopeful has denied the allegations, and I'm saying unequivocally it never happened, he said during a TV interview. It's interesting because a very good breakdown of his condemnation of this allegation was done by a panel of prominent body language analysts really showed that Joe Biden was a little bit uncomfortable when he had to discuss this stuff, kind of talking out of one side of his mouth and spewing lies with the other. Acquaintances of Miss Reade have said she confided in them after the alleged assault. Tara Reade, 56, worked as a staff assistant to Mr. Biden from 92 to 93 when he was senator for the U.S. state of Delaware. In recent interviews, she has said that in 93, her former boss forced her against a wall and put his hands under her skirt after she delivered him his gym bag. There was no exchange, really. He had me up against the wall. Remember, it happened all at once. His hands were all over me underneath my clothes. He then got 2 knuckles deep. I remember him saying first, as he was doing, do you want to go somewhere else? Yeah, but he's got on the way to the gym. What is he doing? Lifts before bitches. What are you doing? Come on now. And then him saying to me when I pulled away, he said, come on, man. I heard you liked me. That's the phrase that stayed with me. I didn't mean to chuckle, but he really needs to come up with a new tagline. Christ, you've been using this for fucking 30 years already, pal. Ms. Reade filed a criminal complaint on the 9th of April 2020 with police, saying she was a victim of sexual assault but did not name Mr. Biden. She said in a tweet she filed the complaint for safety reasons only, as the statute of limitations on her claim had expired and she had begun to receive online threats. Ms. Reade said that she filed a complaint with a congressional personnel office about her treatment as Mr. Biden's employee, but did not have a copy of the report. Journalists at the New York Times and Washington Post, credible sources, say they have been unable to locate the report. Separately, the records of Mr. Biden's 36-year career as U.S. Senator are being held at the University of Delaware, which says it will not release any papers until 2 years after Mr. Biden leaves public life. Okay, well, he had that 4-year span where he wasn't doing fuck all after the end of the Obama administration and all the way through the Trump administration. I don't know. I'm pretty good at math, so I'm going to take a stab at this one. That's about 4 years he was out of public life. He didn't announce his intents to run for president until 2019, late into the primary season. I don't know, man. The numbers don't really match up there, so... But even still, he's also said that he's not going to release any of those documents there. So if there's proof and she actually filed a formal complaint of the incident in 93, it's in the University of Delaware. And you're not allowed to see them. Even though he's a public servant and all of those records should be kept in the Congressional Library, I do believe. And they should be available for public consumption. But because they're at the University of Delaware, a private institution, guess what? Fuck you. Proof doesn't exist because I hid it. What a high-level scumbag. Listen, Biden's never going to have to answer for any of his previous crimes. The dude is going to skate because he has not a thought left in his head, and he should be able to just live out his life with a blanket on his lap, and he can just stare off his porch in Delaware and just live out his remaining days. Just thinking of all the scalps that he's been nose deep in. Thinking of all the interns that he's previously accosted and the lives that they have ruined, and continue to mutter less coherent sentences than what would fall out of an alphabets box. But until that day, mark your calendars, because March 25th, he's going to have to stumble, stammer, and hope he doesn't shit his pants up there in front of the press corps, because it'll be hard-hitting action. And with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.